Hi there, how are you? Now, this is really a very important step that we're going to be taking right now because we're going to really teach you, not teach you, but we're going to coach you so that you will never forget the circle of fifths and you'll understand it. The problem is that every time that you see a circle of fifths, it seems like there's too much there. And say, oh, I'm never going to remember all of that. And then on top of it, it's the way it's taught generally. So we want you to understand it. We already have played the circle of fifths where we're picking out the fifth notes of the scale. And we know how to play all those major chords in a pattern of fifths because that's what happens in music. You have to think in terms of patterns. And I found out while I was teaching all of these circle of fifths to my students, they used to do it and they used to put it in the bench or they used to put it someplace else. So I decided I've got to put that on every page because I want them to be very conscious of it, but I want them to be able to find it when you need it. I want you to be able to look at it. Well, why? Because whenever they show you the circle of fifths, you're going to see all this busyness all around because it's there already. We don't want you to see it that way. We want you to be able to figure it out each time, especially since we already know how to play the major chords and we know all the fifths. So when we're looking at this pattern that we have here, it's my logo, and you can see that it says C and F and G, and this Y means why things happening in music. So it's a sound approach to the why of music. And then, what the heck are these dots there for? Let's find out. Instead of seeing everything written down and somebody telling you what it is, we need to have a shortcut way for somebody, whether they're blind or whether they can see, to be able to pick it up, and there it is, they've got it in their head. It's knowing and understanding the pattern or the circle of fifths. We already know from our first lessons, which are very, very important, you must start with the first lessons, because then it'll make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's because you didn't do the first and second lesson. They're the most important. So now we've got that whole thing. Oh, geez, that's great. Now we've got C and F and G because that's easy chords that we play, and the one chord that we call F sharp, which is on the bottom. Those little circles that we have there are beads, and it spells the word bead. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and it continues B, E, A, D. We're going to be getting used to seeing the beads. And when we write it down, we're going to find out that it's that pattern of fifths we played at the beginning. So it's C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F, and C. The beads start from here to the left after the F. So it's B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, the only sharp. And then we have B, E, A, D, and now we have a circle of fifths to give you the sound approach to the why things happen in music, because everything happens on this pattern. When we play it, and when we start, we're going to find out that we can play all the scales and know the number of sharps and flats in the key that we're playing it in. We're going to know the principal chords in the key. We're going to know the magnetic attraction of the key that you're playing in, so you have to bring the chords back home. And all of a sudden, everything is going to seem so simple because every song has a pattern. Sometimes it's the same pattern from one song to another. And it didn't matter if it was 5'2". Okay, C, E. Oh, I went from C and then I went out to the E. But I had to start coming home, so I was going, it's like there's a magnetic attraction to the key or the home. So you're on C, and we left that C because we're pretty advanced already and we're such smart people. We're going out, but we've got to get home. So when it's going to go here, it starts on C. The next chord after that's going to be E. Then it's going to be the A, then the D, then the G, and then the C. So it's like it's bringing you home. So it's going 5'2", E, A, D's. We're coming around the circle. And then the G. And then we're going to finish right now, just to give you the idea. So we went right around the circle. We went from C to E to A, C to E to A to D to G to C. It's on every paper that we print. Okay, that was easy. That's kind of like fun. And it turns out that all the notes in the melody are part of the chord. 5'2". Oh, that's the notes in here. I'm going to play the E chord, eyes of blue. Then I'm going to play the A chord, and it's going to have the notes of the A chord. And this one's going to be D7, so it's going to have the 7th here. Then I have to play a G. And I have to finish on C if I'm going to be finishing the song. That's kind of interesting, but that's 5'2". But supposing I'm Franz Liszt and I'm playing a classical piece, could you believe that I'm going to be using exactly the same chords? I'm not going to play them like that. I'm not going to go. That's kind of bouncy. It's a song from the 20s, okay? But we're going to be playing Franz Liszt and we're going to be playing exactly the same chords. And it's very easy because it goes. Next chord is E, and A, and D, G, that's pretty cool because you just played 5'2" and now you're playing Franz Liszt Liebestraum? What the heck are you doing that? It's the same chords. The amazing part is that we never think of classical music as being from chords. It is, because that's where we get all the chords from, is really from the classical music. They were using them all the time. They just didn't identify the chords. And since they don't write down the chords, doesn't mean they don't exist. I didn't know they existed because I never learned chords in my entire career of learning how to play the piano. I had to read the notes, I had to count, I had to know the name of the note, and I had to play very, very few songs because it took so long to play. But now I have this tool that I'm going to be working with, and it turns out that you're going to learn and you're going to be doing all of the scales because they're going to work around this circle. We're going to know how to play a C major chord, a C minor chord, a C augmented chord, a C 7th chord, a C minor 7th, the diminished chords, augmented, what? Goodness, you could play all of that just by having that circle because they work in that pattern. And it's like having, let's see, I guess the engineers have, I don't know what they call them again, I forgot. But anyway, they have a tool too when they're going to be doing something. This is our tool. If we line up, and these are all circles of fifths, by the way, but we have you do them independently when we're teaching it to you. You line it up, and if you know one chord, like for example, we know how to play a C chord. Once we have this circle completed, we're going to put down C and E and G. So now what we have is a C, E, and G. And guess what? If I want to know how to play D flat, I can look at D flat once I have this lined up because all chords are the same, all scales are the same, they're the same sound. I can find out how to play D flat because it's D flat, F, and A flat. What I have to do is have one chord that I'm sure of lined up, and then I know how to find all the other chords. You're not going to need it because we already had that little chart where you're going to be marking all those chords. If you know how to play an E minor, it's going to be E and G, B. We know how to play these chords because we played C, D minor, E minor, F, G. So you line up an E minor. Any chord that you play, for any chord that you're going to be playing, you have to know how to play something. So you know how to play C, for sure. These are 3 circles of fifths. We're going to line up to C. Any chord that you know, you can line up. So we know how to play C for sure. So I'm going to put a C here, and then the second note that I'm playing is an E. So it's got to be there because it's all 12 notes, isn't it? And then G. Okay. Now I have C, E, G that's lined up here. That means that every single chord that's on is going to tell me the names of the notes in every one of the major chords. So if I'm playing and I say, oh God, I don't know how to play F sharp. You're going to look at the F sharp. Don't worry about if it says F sharp, B flat, or they have flats and sharps or anything like that. Because what happens is they have more than one name. It's the sound we're looking for. So we don't want you to learn how to spell, oh yeah, F sharp has F sharp and what? Oh geez, it's a B flat. How am I going to remember? No, it's got 3 black keys in it. So that's what's important. But you have to line up something that is already absolutely, I know how to play C. I know how to play E minor too, so I can line up all the minor chords. And I'm going to know how to play all the sevenths. This is just to give you an overview so that we can go over it with you and show you how to build it yourself. But that's to make sure that you know it. On the back of the card, we're going to be doing something also with it, and we're going to give you all of the formulas. However, we are doing it a little bit more advanced now so that you can see it better, but you get the idea that on the back are the formulas. So if I'm going to play a C chord, it says C is a major, and the notes we're going to play C, E, G, and it's the first, the third, and fifth note of the scale. That gives me the formula. Once I line up the formula, for the C, I've got it for every single chord, and I don't have to worry about it. They come in patterns, whatever key you're playing in. Right now we're going to be playing it in the key of C. Okay, but then we're also going to have to play the minor chords because you line up all the minors. You won't find it necessary. It's important, though, for you to know and understand that this is what happens when you're playing, that everything repeats, that if you know the circle of fifths, you're going to know the number of sharps or flats in it, you're going to know which notes are sharp or flatted, you're going to know the keys that you play, the chords that you play, the magnetic attraction that you're going to have from the key that you're playing in, because it has to bring you home, because you have to finish on the name of the key when you finish with the song, if it sounds finished. If we're playing like an E chord, I know that I'm playing E and G sharp, but I don't call it G sharp on the circle because we only calling one diet sharp name. So that's a G sharp, okay? But it's also A flat, and then B is the other note. So once I line up a C chord that I know is for sure correct, and I'm going to do it here. C is the inner circle, E is the second circle, G is the third circle. Once that's lined up, if I leave it in that position, it's now telling me every note in every single of the 12 chords. Because I only have to line up one, and it's C. If you happen to know just G, then we'd line up G. But we know C, and we're sure about it. We also know how to play D minor or E minor, so let's play E minor. And it's got E, G, and B. So I'm going to look for the E on the inside, and I'm going to find the next circle, which is going to be E, G. Where's that E now? E, there's a G, and then there's a B. And I'll turn it around so I can see E, G, B. Now I have the E minor chord. The minute I lined up this chord, now I have all the minor chords if I had any doubt about it. Usually the reason you have a doubt is because the music isn't written right. But if you're following the directions that we have and the music that we are writing, we are putting the X's to remind you when there's a black key in the middle. We don't want you making a mistake. We want to make sure that you do it right in the first place. And so that's going to give you a clue. Oh yeah, that has a black key in the middle. And you'll know how to play it. But if you're not sure, and most of the time the reason you're not sure, by the way, is because you're playing something that doesn't sound right in the piece that you're playing. Well, you know what? They make mistakes when they do printing. Do you know what? They make mistakes because they're no longer playing it the way they did maybe when they wrote it at the beginning. So no matter what you do, it better sound like what you know it's supposed to sound like. That's why it's so important to play something that you're familiar with, because you will make it play fast enough, slow enough, or whatever it is that you're doing. You don't have to worry about it because you know that if you're playing the Moonlight Sonata, it's going to be very slow and very soft. I can play that, and I never make a mistake, and the people that I teach never make a mistake because they know what they're doing. And it's just so much fun to realize that you can play anything in any key, and it's going to sound good. And on top of it, we play that Moonlight Sonata, by the way, with feelings, because we start out by playing this. I'm going to just play it fast so you can get an idea. Well, you know how that sounds. Then after we play that, we play. So way, we're going to be going over this a lot with you, but you're going to find out that it's so easy when you know that all the answers are patterns. And when you know the patterns all involve the fifths, and you know the circle of fifths, and you have all these answers on here, it's just so incredible. Because remember, chords only happen one at a time. Do not worry about F sharp minor seventh when you're playing something in the key of C. It's not going to happen in there. But the one thing that you want to remember is that you want to make it easier, but you have to have confidence in my ability, but mainly your ability, because you certainly heard the fifths when we were trying to pick them out. You certainly know how to play a C chord. You certainly know how to play the rest of the chords starting from that point. And we don't want you to make a mistake, so we're going to make sure that we mark it. Don't forget, we could have put an apple or a banana on top of each of those chords. I don't care how you remember it. You could put a red pencil, I don't know, make a red dot, do something. But we had to have a pattern to use, and what we do is we put an X to remind you that there is a black key in the middle of the chord. And you cannot make a mistake, because when you play it in the song, it will not sound right. So I hope you're going to have a lot of fun with it. But there's details we want to go into a little bit more. So I'll hope you'll be following with us, because we have so much that you're going to enjoy. And it's going to be so fast. So good luck with everything, and let me know how you feel. So thank you.